where every view leaves confusion behind.
Cogent critique.
So the left, including Brian Tyler Cohen, a popular YouTuber, have all totally lost their minds over ICE, ICE. And, you know, they're the new Gestapo, and it's an autocratic regime under Trump, and yada, yada, yada. And, of course, we're going to look into some of this nonsense because it's not true. Now, everybody should have plenty of reasons to dislike Trump. And this is something that just blows my mind, too. The Democrats, out of all the things they could bring up about Trump to try to discredit Trump, they would bring up one of the what I believe are one of the more popular things favoring Trump, which is his immigration policy, closing the border. That's the hill people are going to die on. I mean, people should be out, like, you know, protesting these ridiculously high prices and price of housing. But instead, this is the thing. This is the hill they want to die on. Anyway, let's listen to what this genius has to say, shall we?
Well, looks like all the bad press from Donald Trump's autocratic deportation policy finally made its way.
Okay, but it's not autocratic, though. I mean, okay, this is already from the get-go. It's not autocratic. So ICE, the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, we're going to get into this, nothing new has happened. They've always enforced immigration. And they are the law enforcement body that has the authority to enforce this because of the United States Code, because of Congress, because of laws, all pretty much under Title 8, Chapter 12 of the U.S. Code. So we have laws, we have rules about this. People can't just come in whenever they want to. And ICE is the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, is the law enforcing branch of that. Otherwise, why have the law? But it's not autocratic, because if Congress were to change the law, guess what? ICE couldn't enforce it. They could just say, the Congress could change the law tomorrow. And even if Trump were to veto it, if 2/3 of Congress wanted to override his veto, they could change it. Of course, who cares about laws?
Its way to his desk because he took to Truth Social this morning, writing, "Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good, long-time workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open border policy are applying for those jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming." Okay. Next up on News at 10, man discovers that poking himself in the eye hurts. Yeah, dude, of course chasing out the people who build our homes and pick our food is going to be bad for companies who rely on good workers to do exactly that. Trump is just now figuring that out.
Okay, so this is something that the left keeps doing too. First of all, there's a lot of people struggling for jobs right now. To say that there's no workers that be willing to do those jobs. Okay, there's no workers that may be willing to do those jobs for a wage that, yeah, yet another law, we have minimum wage at least, but obviously we know people aren't going to, do jobs like that for minimum wage. So instead, let's hire people illegally. let's use them cheaply. That's good for America? Okay, so it saves a little bit of money for the farmers, and maybe I guess hypothetically for us, I don't know where his thought process is going here at the grocery store or whatever. Okay, so it's okay to let people break laws if it saves money? That's basically what you're saying. Like, it's okay to break the law if it saves money. So if groceries are too expensive for me, I'll just go to the grocery store and steal some stuff because it saves me money. And, the other shocking part about this, and that's really where they need to attack some of this, I want to point people in the right direction here as far as what the law says. How about 18 U.S.C. Section 2? Whoever commits an offense against the United States or aids, abets, counsels, commands, induces, or produces its commission is punishable as a principle. Basically, whoever is encouraging crimes, because the word abets, you look that up, encourage or assist someone to do something wrong. So if I'm hiring people and I know they're illegals, and I'm enabling this behavior, that should be considered aiding and abetting these people breaking the law. It's really that simple. Anyway, the genius.
Perhaps if he wasn't so far up his own ass, he would have listened to literally everyone who had been saying the same thing for years since he's been making these threats. Economists have been warning for decades.
And honestly, for years, ICE has been deporting people. So nothing has changed, and I'm going to get into that too, but there were still hundreds of thousands of deportations in 2024 and detentions by ICE. Anyway.
That mass deportations would devastate agriculture and hospitality and construction and food service. The Congressional Budget Office has repeatedly documented how immigrant workers, including undocumented ones, are essential to entire sectors of the American economy. But hey, very glad that the President of the United States is using the U.S. economy as his trial and error experiment. In fact, this is a recurring theme. Remember when Trump announced his tariff wars would boost manufacturing? We all said that it would cause contraction, he did it anyway, and now manufacturing has been shrinking.
Okay, there's legitimate complaints about the Trump tariffs. That has nothing to do with this immigration policy.
For months. Remember when he promised 90 deals in 90 days? We all said that his tariffs were a dumb economic policy, he did it anyway, and now we've got no
Actually, we didn't all say that. Like, I kind of think the tariffs are dumb, and a lot of people, maybe even the majority, think that, but there's, like, everyone said that? No, only people like you said that, 100%. Yeah, anyway.
Deals other than one preliminary agreement with the UK, a country that, by the way, we have a trade surplus with. And now he's acting shocked that deporting the people who pick our food and build our houses...
No, he's not acting shocked. He's shocked because those jobs should be being done by Americans. American citizens. Doesn't matter what the race is. Legal American citizens. He's shocked because he's annoyed, as am I, that some rich people are getting away with exploiting the labor of illegal immigrants, essentially. In fact, it's actually a form of exploitation where they're not getting paid what somebody would otherwise be getting paid.
Might just cause problems. This is like being surprised that removing all of
It causes problems for the person who has to pay more. It doesn't necessarily cause problems for, the other people they might have to pay more doing the job.
Mechanics from a garage might make it harder to fix cars. And so now, here's what's happening. Trump is preparing his exit strategy from his own immigration policy, and he's following the exact same playbook that he's used on every other issue. Step 1, make an extreme promise to fire up the base. Step 2, implement the policy with great fanfare. Step 3, reality hits and the policy fails spectacularly. Step 4, blame somebody else and quietly walk it back. And then Step 5, pretend the new position was always the plan. We saw this with his tariffs. He announced them with big fanfare. The markets crashed, and then he started offering 90-day pauses and exceptions. We saw it with his 90 deals in 90 days promise, made the claim, failed to deliver, and then started talking about how trade deals take time. And now we're seeing it with immigration. The mass deportations are causing exactly...
Actually, I don't even think his immigration policy... So if we want to go this far and say Trump is full of shit, because... I don't even think he's really... This is all in the minds of the people on the left. It's not even happening in terms of these extra deportations. I guess just recently I found an article on this. They've stepped up the number of deportations per day. And I'm questioning whether this is going to continue through the rest of 2025. Because let's go ahead and look at the stats. Let's look at the actual facts and stats and numbers. So this is right from the ICE website. Arrests over time. So you've got your... Other immigration violation... Oh, damn page. Other immigration violator, pending criminal charges, and criminal conviction. Okay, in 2023, you had tons of arrests. And then in 2024... So here we are in 2025. It's actually less. Now, I'm assuming some of that is because the fiscal year hasn't ended. But none of this is new. And here's the really stupid part on the left about this to me. Since nothing has really changed that, we've got over 150,000 in 2023. Where were the protests then? If we're going to say, okay, ICE is evil, it's bad, they shouldn't be doing this. Where were the people in 2023? Wouldn't we at least have... Let's even say that Trump does what because I think he was talking about getting 1 million deportations a year or whatever. Whatever it is. Way higher than previous years. Which I highly question when looking at this over here in 2025. But even leaving that aside, where was the left in 2023? Wouldn't they, if they're doing all this rioting and protesting now, wouldn't there have been at least some rioting and protesting over this in 2023? There was none, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, this site, it's worth this ice.gov /statistics, or /statistics, whatever, is a good guide for arrests, detentions. Here we go again. Here we have the number of detentions. So again, here's 2025. We're already halfway through the year. Like, ironically, unless Trump really steps up this program, we're actually going to have less than preview anyway.
The economic disruption that everybody predicted, so Trump is already laying the groundwork.
Yeah, but it hasn't, though, because we've already done this year before, and the year before that, and the year before that, during the Obama administration, and nothing has changed, man.
Blame criminals versus
ICE is the organization that's tasked with doing this. That's their job.
Good long-time workers, as if there's some meaningful distinction that he just discovered. The guy's administration was...
No, and there is no meaningful distinction. And you'll hear this from the left, too, and you keep hearing this from Brian Tyler Cohen. They keep, like, trying to pull on your heartstrings, like, oh, well, this illegal immigrant, he was a hard worker. He was... he did so many great things. He saved kittens, man. He was just such a wonderful guy. Okay, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant because you're either breaking the law or you're not. If I go into my car and I go speeding down in a 20-mile-an-hour zone going 80 miles an hour, and a cop pulls me over and I go, you know what, officer, you really should let me go. I shouldn't be held accountable for my actions because, you know what, I helped at a homeless shelter earlier today, and I'm a great guy. Doesn't matter. That's irrelevant.
Quite literally chasing down immigrants in the fields as they were picking crops.
Again, it doesn't matter what they're doing. They could be working in the fields, they could be saving kittens, they could be helping homeless people, or they could be the most self-centered people on the planet where all they do is jack off all day. It doesn't make any difference, man.
And yet now he's pretending that the, quote, good long-time workers are accidentally getting caught up in the system. Take a look at this video. Does this really look like he's going
that's what ICE's job is.
after the hardened criminals?
ICE agents arrived at the field.
It doesn't matter what they're doing. If they're here illegally, A or B, true or false, are they here illegally? And to answer that question, are they violating any of Title 8, Chapter 12 code? Yes, then ICE has jurisdiction over that and they should enforce the law. No, then leave them alone. That simple.
See behind me earlier this morning. In fact, according to a couple of farm workers we had a chance to talk to, ICE agents arrived right around 6 o'clock this morning. Cell phone video that was posted online right after the raid show ICE agents chasing after some of the workers. ICE hasn't said how many people they detained at this raid earlier today. The agriculture industry in Ventura County is a $2 billion a year industry. Okay. That's billion with the B. So raids like this could have a significant impact on what's planted and picked here. One of the workers didn't want us to show his face while he talked to us. Another one was okay with us showing her face, but not giving us her name. One of the workers described what he saw when they arrived to work this morning, and the other talked about the anxiety of coming to work because you don't know if ICE will be coming to your Ventura County field.
Yeah, so don't work illegally. Like, there are legal means to enter the United States. All of that, by the way, in Title 8, Chapter 12, on how to get work visas, how to get admitted to becoming a U.S. citizen. I'm not saying it's, like, the easiest thing on the planet, but there are ways of doing it. If you can spend this much effort working in fields like this, you could expend that effort to become a valid U.S. citizen.
While you're working, here's what they had to say.
Nomás en la mañana vimos un carro, cuando estábamos en la orilla, vimos un carro venía el coche y los ICE estaban persiguiendo el coche.
A mi temor mío es de que a veces por la necesidad nos obliga a presentarnos a trabajar a donde haya trabajo, pero por todo lo que pasa.
It's not like I don't feel sorry for these people. But I just don't feel sorry for them that much because they're breaking the law. And again, we're a nation of laws. We have law and order. We have rules that everybody's supposed to follow. And just because you might be hardworking, well-intentioned, salt-of-the-earth people doesn't make any difference. Like I said, going back to my analogy, if I go... do you think if I went and shoplifted from Walmart tonight and I got busted by the cops and I said, well, I'm really a great guy otherwise, I mean, I'm always helping out the community and everything, that would make any difference?
Sucediendo es un poco difícil para nosotros.
In a written statement to Eyewitness News, a spokesperson for the United Farm Workers Foundation says they're taking innocent people who are trying to build their own American dream.
They're not innocent people, though, because if they're violating the law, they're not innocent. They're innocent in terms of you guys' deluded minds and thinking that shouldn't be a law. Okay, fair enough. But that's your personal opinion and moral standards, not what the law says. So they're not innocent if they're violating the United States Code.
This is not law enforcement. It's a campaign of fear against people whose only crime is living and working in the U.S. This is an...
but that is a crime. If you're not doing it the proper way, within the boundaries of the law, then it is a crime. It's really that simple.
Justice, and we are calling on our elected officials to speak out and protect their community members. Again, no word on how many people were detained here at this field.
Yes, who could have possibly guessed that specifically targeting agriculture workers in the fields would have an impact on...
Dude, again, ICE doesn't care what you're doing. Like, that's not their job. That's not supposed to be their job. You could be working in the fields. You could be masturbating at home. You could be picking your nose. You could be playing video games. Doesn't make any difference, man. Like, that's totally irrelevant. They're there to enforce the law the same way any other law enforcement branch anywhere else in the United States is supposed to be enforcing the law. And what you're doing, if you're breaking the law, in lieu of the law's broken, doesn't make any difference, man.
In his airtight logic to lead us to greatness. Notice too how Trump is trying to thread this...
I mean, the left and this guy has airtight logic, clearly.
He's not backing down from immigration enforcement. No, he's still trying to get the criminals out of the USA.
Okay, but again, ICE has done this again, year after year, decade after decade. That's what they do.
But now he's discovering that there are very good long-time workers who are different from the criminals we allowed into our country by the very...
Again, there are criminals by default because they're breaking the law. Now, I understand that breaking immigration laws doesn't necessarily make you a criminal in terms of stealing, murder, so on, that are more, serious violations. We get that, man.
Stupid Biden open border policy. Classic Trump. Word salad designed to give him maximum flexibility. He can claim he's still being tough on immigration while quietly scaling back enforcement against the workers that businesses actually need.
Here's the disingenuous part of this whole thing to me. Because the left, in this case, knows that immigration is probably one of the more favorable policies under this administration, they don't want to get things changed the right way. Because there's a right way of doing this. If you think the laws are too strict, then what you need to do is contact your congressman or woman and get them to change the United States Code. Tell them, I demand change, I want it to make it easier on immigrant workers, blah, 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 blah. But see, they know that wouldn't pass. And they know that probably wouldn't even pass even with a Democrat majority. I mean, but then again, that's the country we live in. We're supposed to have, the will of the people being followed. And I don't think the will of the majority of people that are not illegal aliens, that are, U.S. citizens, voters, that... to just allow anyone in just because, hey, I made it across, I'm good to go, and I'm working, so I'm okay. No, that's not okay. But here's my thing. If they want to go about things the right way and not riot and burn up cars, which I don't know how that has any effect, if they want to go about things the right way by getting the law changed, then I would support it. I'd say, all right, this is the way the Democratic... I might not agree with it personally, But I would respect it, because I would say, okay, Congress changed the law. They're going to make it really easy now for people to get U.S. citizenship or whatever. It's no longer an offense, however they want to change the law. But they don't want to change the law because they know that's not popular. And it's not popular in Congress because it's not popular with the people of the United States, probably.
He gets to blame Biden for the criminals while still taking credit for protecting the good workers. But here's the problem with this distinction. It is complete nonsense. The same enforcement apparatus that goes after the criminals is the one that picks up the very good long-time workers.
Again, because that's not their job. Like, they're there to enforce the law. It doesn't matter what they're doing.
ICE does not make these fine distinctions when they're conducting these raids.
No, they don't. That's not what law enforcement does. Again, if I go do a crime tonight, the law enforcement officer isn't going to say, hey, what do you do for a living? Do you work hard? Oh, you do. You know what, let's just let you go. Let's let you take those groceries. Groceries are expensive. Just go ahead and take the groceries out of Walmart. You're good to go because you're a hard worker.
Police officers cooperating with federal immigration authorities don't know who's been working at the same farm for 10 years versus who just arrived. Trump is trying to create a distinction
because we have laws, and this goes into unlawful presence and inadmissibility. So basically, if you get here on a work visa and you stay too long, because there's rules about this, and you can go read these, I'm not going to, it's under the INA, Immigration and Nationality Act. Basically, and I think it's more of a civil infraction, but basically, if you overstay the amount of time you're allowed, it's an offense, it's against the law, and basically you can't re-enter the country for a certain period of time. And again, you can read about this yourself, but again, it doesn't matter what you're doing because we have an unlawful presence and inadmissibility under the INA. Again, that's what the rules are. Rules, I don't know, man.
That doesn't exist in practice because he needs a way to back down.
No, it doesn't exist in practice because that's the rules that we already had.
Admitting he was wrong. But here's what's really...
because that was already the rule, man. It has nothing to do with Trump. I mean, yes, he's trying to supposedly, issue executive orders and whatnot to get the ICE to up their enforcement of the laws that are already there. But this has already been a thing under the INA.
Driving this sudden discovery by Trump. His approval ratings are tanking and he knows it. His manufacturing golden age has produced a contraction. His economic policies have crashed the markets. His trade wars...
I don't get it. So the markets are right back up where they started, man. In fact, I think they're a little bit ahead now. Like, they temporarily crashed the markets because people were losing their marbles and, oh my god. We're right back where we started. And it's really funny to listen to the left now too, in case everybody hears, like, all of a sudden the left are like these super fiscal, like they care about money and the stock market and farmers and everything. But I've never seen anyone on the left not vote for a tax increase. Like, around here where I live, left-leaning place, anytime there's a property tax mill levy, it always gets voted in. But somehow, all of a sudden, the people on the left are really, all of a sudden, like, fiscally conservative, and they care so much about, money, and, it's crazy.
Have failed to actually garner any trade deals. His military deployments against American citizens have horrified suburban voters, and now his signature immigration policy is creating visible economic pain that even his supporters can't...
Yeah, Trump sucks. We know that, man. Like, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes. I mean, I don't think Trump is great. Would I vote for him again over Kamala Harris? Probably. But do I think he's a good president? No.
Ignore. When farmers in Iowa and hotel owners in Florida core to Donald Trump...
I can't take this guy anymore. Anyway, long story short, you got these people acting totally nuts. But here you go from this article from USA Today. Majority of Americans disapprove of Trump's second term, but he leads on immigration, new poll. Yeah, so it's like, why, out of all of the things that you could be upset about right now, these fucking food prices and housing prices, among other things, through the roof, still going up, and there we go, that's and we've got the legitimate stuff to criticize Trump on. You had some dinguses out there that believed Trump when he said that gas is $1.98 a gallon. Okay, gas is not $1.98 a gallon anywhere. Anywhere. You find me an actual guy. I've looked at Gas Buddy. I've looked online. Gas is not $1.98 a gallon. Gas has come down a little bit. Okay? Prices overall still going up. Eggs have come down a little bit because of the virus subsiding to some degree with the avian flu or whatever. Dude, there's... Across the board, though, things are getting more fucking expensive. I mean, the best that we can hope for, honestly, in a way, poor middle-class people, is for a housing crash. Because that will drive down the price of housing, but it will drive down the price of everything else. Unfortunately, it will probably disrupt the job market, though, like it did in 2008 and 9, though, so whatever. But point is, why would you pick this? Let's pick the thing, you know, just like this No Kings rally, ridiculous, and then it just doesn't make any sense, but that's the world we live in today, man. Nothing makes any sense. And then on the other side of the coin, while I think that we need the facts show that the law says you can't overstay your, time in the United States. We have laws, we have rules. You also have people on the other side, like, I do understand some people's upset. We're going to play this video a little bit. Graveyard Dead from the Florida sheriff. And, like, I sympathize with these guys because I'm sick and tired of these protesters and stuff, too. And these rioters. Not even protesters, rioters. But at the same time, because protesting is everyone's right. I get that. I respect that. But this guy, man, it's too much. And then he says things that are questionable, too.
Because this is the free state of Florida. They're moving here because they know their families will be safe here. Their businesses will be safe. They won't have to contend with what we're seeing in places.
Right. It's just fancy that states like Florida aren't as much of a shithole as California. Who would have thought?
Places like Los Angeles and New York and Chicago, those things that are happening right now as we stand here today speaking. Our general was, I will say, very instrumental, was the tip of the spear in our blueprint for Free Florida. And now he's the tip of the spear in making sure that we are protecting what I like to call our 3 C's, our citizens, our cops, and our Constitution.
Clever.
And he has
really
stood strong with not only law enforcement, but with us here in Brevard County, and we appreciate you. I'm gonna start out by addressing the doxing issue that we were talking about. Our ICE agents, just like our Florida Highway Patrol, are our partners. We all ride together in this. We all are out here to make sure that we're protecting our citizens, protecting our communities. Many of them have been called to the border. Many of them have been called to other locations.
God, I just got to say this. This guy is, like... I mean, I'm a fat guy, so I wanted to say it, but I'm also not working in law enforcement. This guy... and then this guy over here, over his shoulder, I guess it'd be his right shoulder, this older man. You get, like, this bald guy over here, this older man is like... I went with ICE. I mean, it looks like he's about to, like, croak at any second. Yeah.
To deal with the amount of fugitives and things that are going on, detainers. So for us, we will have their back. We will work closely with Colonel Howes and his team in making sure that we're increasing patrol, we're watching them. Anybody that's doxing them, as the General said, we passed a law about 4 or 5 years ago that makes it illegal to dox here in the state of Florida.
That's
so
great.
Anybody that's doing that, we will take them to full task on doing it. We will stand with you. I want to define a couple things, and our General was very kind in how he said things. I'm not as usually as elegant in how I say things, so I'm gonna first say that peaceful protests are part of our democracy. We invite people to share their opinions. That's what our country is all about.
Yeah.
The key word in that is peaceful.
Right.
And if it's peaceful, us in law enforcement are going to make sure you have a safe environment to do it in. That's part of that process. If you let it turn violent, whoo, you do not want to do that in Brevard County. I'm going to tell you that, and I believe I can speak for my fellow sheriffs around the rest of the state. You don't want to let it happen. And just so there's no confusion, because I don't want to hear any whining later saying we didn't know. I'm going to break it down for you, all right? Because as you watch these riots unfold across the rest of the country, what you are seeing is buildings being burned down, police cars being bricked.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Having explosive devices thrown on them, having fire, guns pointed at them, bricks thrown at them, all and on. So I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they have the right to enforce that. Like, that part of what he's saying here makes sense. Lawful orders, if they're lawful. Yeah.
Very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail.
Yeah, and you should. And I'm sick and tired of these people I don't know what these people are thinking. They go in the middle of intersections and just, like, not a big deal. Like, hey, fuck cars. Let's just get in the middle of the intersection. And it's basically, like, almost kidnapping. Like, I'm being forced against my will to have to be blocked by you because you have to your opinion. You gotta tell me, no kings. And it's just like, get out of the way. Like, you can peacefully protest, just don't block intersections.
If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail.
Okay, this is where things get a little bit, like, if you spit on a police officer, that's illegal, obviously. You shouldn't do that. You should go to jail. You shouldn't necessarily have to go to the hospital. Police are supposed to use, and law enforcement, the minimum amount of force to subdue someone who is breaking the law so they can go to jail. It's not their job, if I get spit on, to go over and bash them in the face 20 times because I'm angry. And I know that sucks. Like, I get where this guy's coming from, but the job of law enforcement is to subdue criminals with the least amount of force. Now, they may go to the hospital if they refuse to be arrested after you get spit on. But that job of law enforcement is not to put you in the hospital. It's to enforce laws. So he had everything right here until we started. This is where things get a little bit like, whoa, dude, just a little bit much.
If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop.
If you point a gun at a police officer, you're probably going to get shot. I don't know what to tell you on that one. But again, the law enforcement need to be trained to use the minimal amount of force, and that can be hard to judge sometimes. But as a law enforcement officer, even if you're dealing with assholes like the people in Los Angeles, you've got to use the minimal amount of force to subdue the criminal. You can't just kill them because you're angry. Should go without saying, but
watching what's taking place.
Yeah, man, this country's crazy. Wow. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you on the next one.